At your service, Captain.
Yes, sir. I'll make sure they get what they require. That must make you my Vanguard captain. Welcome to Interstellar Affairs. I'm Deputy Chief Diplomat Macintyre, Chief Yassine's second-in-command. I heard you were instrumental in protecting the city from the attack. You have my gratitude. I was also informed that you gave quite the presentation to the cabinet. Chief Yassine wants you to know the Interstellar Affairs Office is fully committed to this endeavor, accessing the Terrormorph data and beyond. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure you have the tools you need. And that means first getting you into the archives. You do know what the archives are, correct? It was a mutual agreement, but I suppose you touch on the spirit of it. So, you also know then that it was originally managed by the 3 major galactic players. Access to the archives is only granted in cases of dire emergency, and requires a one-time use code from each of the 3 Armistice signatories. UC, Freestar Collective, and House Va'Run. Now, the UC is already on board, so that means we'll need to convince 2 people, the ambassadors of the Freestar Collective and House Va'Run, to hand over their codes. Get them both and you'll have your data. But that's a lot easier said than done. No. Each is a strip of several million random numbers generated on the fly based on biometric keys kept by each of the ambassadors on their person at all times. They're impossible to create without those keys, and those keys stay with the ambassadors. Meaning, we're accessing nothing if we can't get them on our side. I couldn't agree more. However, both ambassadors have reasons they won't, or can't, work with us. Now, I'll provide guidance on how we believe you can acquire each code, but ultimately, it'll be up to you to get them both to cooperate. And I do mean cooperate. Threats and violence are off the table here. Though that doesn't mean we can't get creative. But it does mean we need to get you up to speed on who you're dealing with. Who do you want to start with? Ambassador Radcliffe of Freestar, or Ambassador Bal'Mor of House Va'Run? Ah, the good Ambassador Radcliffe. She's a veteran of the Colony War, and her only goal in life is to make ours miserable.
If Sam is any example of how stubborn the Freestar people can be, then I can imagine how difficult it must be dealing with this ambassador.
Now, officially, our office is suggesting you try and negotiate with her. Use your experiences as a member of the military and with the threat we're facing to convince her to lend her support. And who knows? Maybe that'll work. Stranger things have happened. But my suspicion is we're going to have to rely on other tools to get her code. Well, if that's the case, I'll wait to be pleasantly surprised. But we do have one item up our sleeve. UC Intelligence has a recording device planted in the Ambassador's living quarters, which we suspect you can use to your advantage. But getting caught trespassing is a quick way to land yourself in an embassy holding cell. So, if you are going to try and access the device, you're going to need to find a way in there without being seen. Now, we recovered some intel we believe should be able to help with that. But there's also a disgruntled staff member you might be able to pump for information, maybe even convince to work with you. Name's Cameron Long. He's younger than Ratcliffe, bears less of a grudge towards the UC. He works closely with the Ambassador, making him a promising source for information on the ins and outs of embassy life. And someone who very likely hates her guts. Yes, many. Don't steal anything. Don't get caught anywhere you're not supposed to. Absolutely do not harm anyone. If something goes wrong, we'll do our best to smooth things over, but I can't make any promises. All right. Here, your diplomatic ID. I'll give them a heads up, you're on your way. Not likely to let you through the door otherwise. And take these. Chief Yassine wanted you to have some options on how to proceed in there. Ambassador Bal'Mor's a challenge. When the rest of House Va'ruun retreated into seclusion shortly after the signing of the Armistice, Bal'Mor stayed here. He's since lent his support to a small number of archival requests, so there's real hope he might again. Though claiming to know how a member of House Va'ruun thinks is a quick way to earn yourself a psych eval.
Well said. There's no reason to assume they're any worse than us, despite their cultural beliefs.
Of course, but there is another wrinkle. We're not 100% sure Bal'Mor is actually still alive. His public appearances were always rare, but it's been several years now since he last poked his head out. Scans of the facility show life signs, but not the kind we were expecting. Your task is to find him and kindly but firmly remind him of his duties under the Armistice. The embassy is still legally House Va'ruun's sovereign territory, so we're not technically permitted inside. We've snuck in the occasional spy, of course, but the Ambassador has proven more evasive than you'd expect for a man of his age. But we're quite sure he hasn't left the city. The man stands out. The Va'ruun delegation brought more than a few of their native flora with them when they set up in the embassy. It seems those plants have been allowed to flourish, making it hard for us to verify what's flora and what's Ambassador. Then you search the embassy for his biometric key, collect your code piece, and we'll go about notifying his next of kin, if we can ever find them. But let's hope it doesn't come to that. I have no doubt. Now, the embassy front door isn't an option, but our spies have stated there's a side entrance that should allow you access. Here, this device should get you all the way down to the embassy interior. Once you're inside, though, finding the Ambassador is going to be up to you. And fair warning, we received a report that alarms might have been tripped inside the embassy during the attacks. Watch out for automated security in there. Now, if you have additional questions or require clearance for a new approach we haven't already discussed, don't hesitate to ask. I'd suggest you start with Ambassador Ratcliffe. Approach her while the attack is still fresh in her and her staff's mind. Be smart out there, Captain.
Some work done?
Intake a bit clogged.
Captain, where are we headed next?
We should have a talk, when you have the time, of course.
That bartender at the viewpoint would stop complaining to security. I don't know what she lost, but she won't get it back by annoying us. I asked my boss what they're doing to stop new alien attacks on the city. He said top line, problem?
Wow, you look completely different.
It's me!
I mean, you look great, but isn't it going to confuse him? He won't even recognize you.
I'll be mysterious.
Zoe, you are one in a million.
maybe for our third date, I'll be a redhead.
I feel underdressed.
Can you imagine how many credits flow through this place? Figuratively, of course.
There's something I need to talk to you about.
Yes?
Yeah, listen, I have a lot on my plate right now, and you don't look like a new hire stumbling through their first day. Who exactly are you? Constellation, as in the elusive and mysterious constellation. Oh, wow. I used to read stories about you guys when I was a kid. Wow. Oh, this is perfect. Kismet, really. I have a business proposition for you that could help us both out. Very lucrative. So you see right through me. You've got a good eye. You are just the person I'm looking for. Well, confession time. I might just be a little desperate. See, the world of credit analysis, dealing with deadbeats and reprobates is, it's a tough field. What I need is a ringer, someone that can collect some of our top delinquent offenders. What I need is you. You work with me, and the fee you get will be huge. Oh, I can tell you're eager. That's good. But we'll start small and work our way up to the worst offenders. Yes! So, we got a Galaxy-class con man took out a loan to franchise a restaurant. Turns out, surprise, it was a scam. And Dieter Maliki jumps system. Now, he's holed up in a literal shack in the middle of nowhere. Can you believe it? The job is simple. Get Dieter to pay. And we don't want him dead, we don't want him hurt. Just close his account like an honest citizen. If he dies, then his assets go to probate, and we can get paid. So if he forces you into an it's you or him situation, it's A-okay for Galbank's bottom line if you choose him. But I cannot stress this enough. This is not the ideal outcome. We wanted him liquidated, we'd have put a tracker on him. Well, you may need to lean on him, scare him. Nothing illegal, just talk to him. And don't listen to any sob stories he tells you. Any job I give you, I guarantee there's not some poor sick aunt that needs credits for surgery. These are scofflaws, scum, flagrantly violating the terms of their Galbank agreements. I'll send over all the details. You find Dieter and bring his account current.
Decided to take a break from exploring to collect some debts? Not exactly Constellation-worthy pastime, but I'll follow your lead.
I hate to end on this note, but, not everyone's a straight arrow. If you cut a deal with Dieter, honestly, I have no way of knowing. But don't expect any more jobs from me. Best of luck. I believe in you.
When you have a moment, I'd like to speak to you. Now that we have a moment, I wanted to ask how you're feeling. After your experience at the temple, you've given everyone at the lodge quite a scare. That's a very reasonable answer. According to what I've heard, your body absorbed an almost unquantifiable amount of energy of a type we can't even begin to understand. We're dealing with something unknown to modern science. Who knows how this encounter has affected your body or your mind? I know you're simply trying to brush this off with humor, but you really should act more concerned. That temple proves we're dealing with entities of unknown origin. The problem is that we can't even begin to guess what their intention was towards us and where they've gone. Perhaps that's true, or perhaps you were simply quite lucky. It's just that... Oh, I'm afraid that we're flying almost completely blind here. All we know for certain at this point is that whoever created the artifacts are the same beings that built the temple. Anything else is just guesswork. I might as well put on a blindfold and toss darts at theories written on the wall. Oh, believe me, this is positively exhilarating. Think about the significance of this research. The questions it raises alone are mind-boggling. Who was this wondrous structure built to accommodate? How long ago did these entities inhabit our universe? Are they still out there, somewhere? Perhaps. We'll need more data to be sure. It's funny. I used to think the artifacts were the end-all be-all of scientific discovery, the pinnacle mystery of our time. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine it would lead to something of this magnitude. I just hope that you'll come through this, whatever it is, unharmed. Oh, well, thank you. Look, I've already taken up too much of your time. All I can do is promise that I'm not going to make you deal with this mystery alone, whatever might be happening. I'll be right here to help you every step of the way. It's a shame House Maroon abandoned their embassy. I bet we could have learned a lot from one another.
Exactly. It's like...
When someone insults you, you want to just beat the shit out of them sometimes. But you don't.
Well, not quite what I was thinking, but that's actually a great example, Marcus. The man in the story was cruel. Do you know why he was cruel? You must feel what he feels. Understand his meaning.
Never forget what the FC did. Never forget.
Hard to believe it's been 2 decades since we were at war with the Collective, when it seems like only yesterday.
You are a visitor? You'll find the ambassador in her office. Go on through.
Visitors are only allowed in the lobby.
I'm going to be upfront with you. I'm not happy visiting anything related to the Freestar Collective. But you lead, and I'll follow.
Terrormorphs? As in more than one? All that security, and they still can't protect their own spaceport. The UC never fails to disappoint. I just wish I hadn't received the news from an SSNN broadcast. We have a strategic advantage to maintain, Mr. Long.
Of course, ma'am. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again.
Excuse me. Are you supposed to be in here?
This building is Freestar sovereign territory. So in here, we're the law.
I'm sorry. Do you have an appointment? Ah, you're the one Macintyre called about. The eyewitness. She said you were at the spaceport. You have my thanks for what you did down there, truly. Saved many lives. Now, she also mentioned that, and maybe it was just a bad connection, that now the UC wants Terrormorph data from the Armistice archives, some of the most highly guarded information in the galaxy, in order to protect us all. I can only presume you're here to tell me I misheard her and that they didn't send you, local hero, to futilely beg on their behalf. Tell me I've got that right. I was afraid of that. Let me be frank, Captain. The answer is no. That information is there because it is dangerous. I will not be the one responsible for its release. Now, why don't you quit wasting my time and yours, and go? You're really gonna push this? All right, I will give you one chance, one, to convince me. Understood. I'm listening. Less than a generation. Hardly long enough to claim the UC is completely reformed. You know that for sure. That is interesting. I never was the sort to turn my back on people in need. Well, Captain, you make some good points. But if I'm really granting you access, I'm gonna need the following concessions. Your access will be limited. You can only take out the items related to stopping these Terrormorphs. The monitors will make sure of it. You go in once, you get everything you need on your trip, and never again. And all research done with the data will be monitored. If this data is being used to save the galaxy needs to be involved in the oversight. Freestar scientists will watch your people like hawks. So, do we have an agreement? Excellent. Follow me.
Sorry. Everyone's a little on edge after the attack.
They tell me it should only take a moment. And there. Here, I'll reach out to Deputy Macintyre. We'll coordinate the necessary oversights. Two unlikely allies, I guess.
isn't what I expected at all. It appears the flora they were using as decor has overgrown the entire embassy. I've never seen a tree like this before in my entire life. It'd actually be more fascinating if its branches weren't floating around. Junk.
useful.
So, what seems punishment becomes providence. A reminder we can never truly know the Great Serpent's designs for us. You have my thanks, and my apologies for the ordeal you just endured. Come, let us discuss. Not the ideal introduction, I suppose, giving you a grand tour of the embassy via barely functioning intercoms. I do greatly appreciate your persistence. I suspect the Venom tree upstairs has worked itself into more systems than I'd realized. But then again, who could cage such a beauty? Tell me though, what is it like outside? I heard the broadcast mentioning an attack. Then the embassy was struck with a power surge and then... silence. Has the rest of the city suffered quite so badly? Is that right, huh? I shall need to have these repairs seen to sooner rather than later. Now, it cannot solely be the Serpent's grace that brought you here at such an opportune moment. You were sent by the UC. That much is obvious. Who else could just waltz through my door, hmm? And the broadcast spoke of Terrormorphs at the spaceport. A worrying occurrence, certainly, but coming here of all places, when all I could provide is some enthused cheerleading and... an archive code. So the UC requires information, then. On Terrormorphs, presumably, hmm? Do I see this all clearly? The preservation of life stands as the very purpose of the Archives. Using its data to prevent more attacks, there is logic there. But if I am to grant you access, I have a requirement. For years, House Va'ruun has been known only as an agent of slaughter. We founded this embassy with hopes of shedding that legacy, with little success. In exchange for my code, I require this. You must be the one who ensures it is used for good. Ensure House Va'ruun's legacy is more than just carnage. The knowledge you ask for isn't evil. No knowledge is. It is we who bend it to evil ends. Oh, you must assure me this will be used to save lives, not endanger them.
As the chair of Constellation, I take personal responsibility in vouching for this man's integrity. He'll keep his word.
Well then, I shall not fear. Please, follow me.
There's something I need to talk to you about.
Let's hope it still works. And there. Let it be used for good.
You're carrying too many odds and ends. I have something to discuss with you. Remember our last conversation, when you told me the artifacts made you feel like you were being pulled across the entire galaxy? Well, it got me thinking, so I dove into our archives and started looking through Constellation's older journal entries. Just because I wasn't familiar with the experience you described, doesn't mean the same might have been true for my predecessor. Unfortunately, no. Other than you and Barrett, there were no records of direct encounters with the artifacts. I have to admit, though, I did get more than a bit sidetracked reminiscing about old times. Really? I'm surprised that I haven't. After reading those journals, all of the pleasant memories of my time spent with Aja just started flooding back. There's no reason to be jealous. They were just, I don't know, different times. Aja was the one that taught me the ropes at Constellation and took me under her wing as her protege. Hey, so I pinched a few ideas from my old boss. Can you blame me? At any rate, We logged quite a few discoveries together, but it was the actual journey that I cherished the most. Exactly. For me, it was all about the quiet moments. There was nothing quite like sitting back and watching space bend while listening to Aja spin vivid stories to fill the time. Oh, I find that sort of cozy isolation the best way to really get to know someone. Yeah, you know, being alone in interstellar space, nothing but light years of black around you. Some people find that terrifying. I find it comfortable. It helps me bond with my shipmates. I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you. You know, all this talk about Aja reminds me that my time with her was a gift. I miss her dearly. No, she retired. Living on Porima 2 now, I think. Come to think of it, if we're ever out that far, perhaps we could pay her a visit, and I could make proper introductions. Well, I don't expect you to be a carbon copy of Aja. Just be yourself. You see, it's clear that we share the same hunger to discover what's out there. And that, well, that's what intrigues me about you. Good. Then we're both on the same page. Anyway, that's all I had to discuss for now, so if you point the way, we can continue our journey.
Part of the most advanced technology corporation in the settled systems.
Captain, you're back sooner than... Oh, wait. Did you actually succeed? With Radcliffe? And Bal'Mor? We're all in agreement. You saved him. You Vanguard really do take that above and beyond thing seriously, don't you? Fine work. And now, I've already arranged everything with the Archival monitors. When you get down there, the UC monitor will give you instructions on how to deploy the codes. Follow them to the letter. Here, the UC code piece and an Archival access card. The entrance is just on the other side of the plaza across from Mast. Absolute best behavior down there, all right?
What response?
by the Freestar Collective's Dragon.
Captain, we've been expecting you. Please approach the monitoring station and we will go over the rules. Welcome, Captain, to the Archives. To proceed, you will need to deposit your codes into the 3 corresponding receptacles. Once they are verified, I will open the door. Your data resides in Unit 18. You will not be able to access any of the other units. Once you've collected your data, return to the entrance. You may insert the first of the archival codes when you're ready to begin.
Captain. Deputy told me what went down. Impressive work.
Captain, if you'd be willing to transfer the documents to the Major, she and I have been discussing what comes next.
Time for us to start getting some real answers, and figure out if we've been asking the right questions. So whenever you're ready. You're carrying the most comprehensive collection of information on Terrormorphs in the known universe. If we can't pry an answer out of there, it likely doesn't exist. Certainly doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but we're not gonna know until Percival and I dig in, so whenever you're ready. Acknowledged and accepted, Captain. So with the data out of the way, we've been discussing where exactly this work's getting done. The Red Devil's headquarters on Mars, back where you found Percival, seemed the natural spot. Already has the equipment, the safety measures. Though it sounded like the deputy had a few more things she needed to discuss with you first.
Indeed. The most important of which is getting you your citizenship.
Then I guess we'll see you on Mars.
Captain, if you'll follow me.
I think I got them. What do you call them? Corns?
All right, Captain. Are you ready to become a citizen of the United Colonies? Good. This isn't the only item we need to discuss, so I'll give you the short version. Please raise your hand. Captain, through your actions today and in days past, you have earned your place among the United Colonies. Through service, bravery, strength, and upholding of the mutual good. Will you carry and cultivate these values for as long as you remain a citizen? Then, Captain, I'm pleased to welcome you into the United Colonies as a full citizen. Here, your official ID and your citizenship dispensation. We've also let the Aphelion Realty office out in the plaza know you're approved to purchase property. Now, the other item we needed to discuss. There's a member of the UC who's asked to speak to you, but this person is in a sensitive position. Normally, we wouldn't even consider something like this, but we think this person has information that could prove useful in dealing with the Terrormorphs. And they've stated they'll only share it with you. They asked for you by name. So I need your agreement that everything you're about to see is kept in the strictest confidence. You can tell no one. Can you agree to these terms? I'm sorry. I can't share any more without your word. Do I have it? Let's hope it never comes to that. Head to the elevator. You're going to subsection 7. I'll make sure you're cleared for access by the time you get there.